Welcome to the Sharing Clients Information, Authorization and Consent, Part 1. The HIPAA Privacy Rule. This regulates the use and disclosure of protected health information, or PHI, held by covered entities. TASC is a covered entity, so it must comply with HIPAA Privacy Rule. Now, the HIPAA Privacy Rule applies to all users of any TASC system and anyone operating on TASC's behalf, like staff, interns, volunteers, contractors, and anyone who may be inadvertently exposed to the protected data. Users are required to follow all procedures for accessing and utilizing TASC systems and in handling clients' HIPAA-protected information to ensure it from being exposed improperly or obtained by unauthorized parties. Protected health information. The privacy rule protects all individually identifiable health information held or transmitted by a covered entity and its business associate in any form or media, whether electronic, paper, or oral. The privacy rule calls this information protected health information, PHI. And individually identifiable health information is information including demographic data that relates to the individual's past, present, or future physical or mental health or condition, the provision of health care to the individual, or the past, present, or future payment for the provision of health care to the individual. And that identifies the individual or for which there is a reasonable basis to believe it can be used to identify the individual. Individually identifiable health information includes many common identifiers, such as name, address, birth date, and social security number. What types of data are covered under HIPAA? The HIPAA privacy rule covers protected health information that consists in many different forms, such as digital, TASC electronic client record, ECR, the client tracking system, paper, client PHI documents received from external partners, or oral conversations covering client PHI within the office or on the phone. Why do we need to use these forms? These authorizations make the entire agency compliant with HIPAA, 42 CFR Part 2, and the Illinois Mental Health and Development Disabilities Confidentiality Act. Now, there is no longer a need for additional releases to share information within TASC. Let's take an overview of the forms and the process. Authorization and consent can be completed in two ways. The recommended way is to add documents directly into the client record, referred to as online. It is the easiest method to simply open the client record, the client signs the form, you save it, and you're done. Authorizations can also, under certain circumstances, where paper copies should be used. So here's some examples. Staff does not have internet connection at that location. Staff are not allowed to bring laptops where the client is located. The signature pad may malfunction. To upload into the client record, a digital copy must be made typically by faxing or emailing to staff. Staff then download the file, then open it in the client's record of ECR, then use the verified upload into the client record. More detailed instructions will follow. Consent to participate in services. Authorization to share confidential information with an individual organization or a person. Group authorizations share confidential information with a group. Permission for electronic communication and assignment of benefits, guarantee of payment. Before disclosing or redisclosing any protected health information, verify that there is a current authorization on file, that the authorization is not expired or revoked. Authorization names the person or persons with whom you may want to communicate with. Limit to the minimum necessary information that is expressly permitted. Receiving organizations may need to sign a BA or QSO agreement. For more information, please contact MIS with Marina, who is the director of MIS. Every time you communicate with anyone about a client, you must verify that the applicable authorizations are still valid. If the consent or authorization is expired, revoked, or non-existent, you may not continue with the communication. Also, be very careful and check what you can share. Authorization, group authorization, the difference. ECR requires that at least one of these two forms be completed, or you cannot continue to enter the client information into ECR. With the exception of the authorization for one or a group, all other aspects of those two forms are the same. Authorization, share confidential information with a single person. Group authorization, share confidential information with a group or called a team. Authorization, the individual, some concepts. This is best for family collateral contacts. Always try to obtain at least one. They can help us to keep in touch with our clients. Only allows one-on-one information sharing. So with the person who is listed on that form and yourself, that's the only two people you can share information with. We cannot redisclose the information received through these communications with anyone else, including our referral sources. If we need to share this information with our referral sources or court teams, they must be listed on a group authorization. They would not be on an individual authorization. And as always, disclosure must only contain the minimum necessary within listed purposes. The group authorization concepts, best for referral sources, treatment providers, service providers, and teams. Allows for the group information sharing. Information received from anyone on the list can be redisclosed to others on that list. If anyone on the list changes, a brand new group authorization is required to be completed. And again, disclosures must only contain the minimum necessary within the listed purposes. Authorization examples. Individual, a one-on-one contact, emergency contact, family members. Group authorizations, again, justice referrals would be like judge, state's attorney, defense counsels, probation, parole, treatment, service providers, and additional team members. Problem-solving court teams or others. Contacting a client. Clients can be contacted by phone at the number provided in the profile page, but we can speak only with them. If the client is not available, we must end the call unless we have in place a signed permission for electronic communication. Appointment information, such as an appointment reminder, is the only type of information permitted to communicate on a voicemail, but the task name, no clinical, well-being, or any other types of information can be included in that voicemail. Sign a permission for electronic communication. Task requires that the client has signed a permission for electronic communication prior to sending any text, email, or leaving a voicemail. Texts and emails may only be sent to the numbers and addresses listed on the authorization and may only be sent from a task email or a task phone. If the client changes their phone number or email, a new consent must be completed before sending the communication. That's why it's recommended that every time you meet with the client that you would verify their current address and their phone numbers. Printed forms. Can staff use paper authorizations? Yes, if they use the most current version and always be uploaded as a verified document in the client record of ECR. To find the printed version, from the navigation bar on the left, the blue bar, you'll see a link called Printed Forms. So when you click on that, it's going to open up a list of the consent authorizations, and you would see the different consents that are available on paper that can be printed. They're PDF files, so you can print it. It is always recommended that you have some of these handy, especially if you are traveling. In the event that your signature pad doesn't work or you have trouble with the internet. This way you would be able to continue. Uploading documents, adding paper documents into a client record. Note, all paper documents must be added to the client record. There are no more paper files. There should be no file cabinets with this information. For all other existing documents, uploads do not need to be verified, only the consent and authorizations. So ECR has set up in the document section an area called Other Uploaded Client Documents. If you had a referral form that you needed to upload into the client record, there's a section here. You select, there's a variety of types. In this example, you would click Referral. Then you would browse your computer for the file that you either scanned or faxed into your computer. You'd search for that, and then you would click the Upload button, and that would move it into the client record. So upload, docs, upload. And then for the verified forms, in that same section, you would see a list of the verified forms. Note that any paper version of these documents must be uploaded as a verified document and not just uploaded into the other document section that we just went through. The system will not recognize them and will prohibit you from continuing unless you use the verified form in order to upload those documents. Now, the steps for the verification process of an uploaded document. First, you would scan or fax that document to your computer. In the client record, click the link Upload Authorization or Group Authorization. Enter the text and click the check boxes that were selected on the paper copy that the client has signed. It is critical that the choices must match exactly. Then you would upload the document that contains the client signature and save the page. Check to make sure that the verified page and the client signed copy are in place. And again, that they exactly match. The only difference on the form that you fill out is it will not have the client's signature. That will be on the paper copy. If you are experiencing any difficulties with this, please contact the MIS department and they'll be more than happy to assist you. Now, what does a verified document represent? The verified document is a legal document that represents an accurate copy of a paper form that was signed by a client. This verified document duplicates exactly all manual entries from the paper form, with the exception of the client's signature. There, the staff are verifying this document and they are affirming that this is entered exactly the way it appears on that piece of paper. At the bottom of the form, you'll see a little checkbox where your name will be there, and it says that you attest that the document that you are uploading exactly matches the above ECR form. I don't mean to insult your intelligence, but that attest is a legal term that refers to the act of a person swearing to or affirming the truth of something. Now, here's some verified document examples that staff probably didn't look as close as they should. So it is very important that everything matches. So let's take a look at some of these. On the left, you'll see a paper copy, and on the right, you'll see what staff typed in as the verified form. You can see in this example, on the paper copy, The client never clicked question 21, but on the verified copy, staff clicked an X in 21. Therefore, they do not match. They would need to be redone. Here's an example of a paper form where staff wrote the judge and collateral and some information. And then this is what they filled out on the paper form. So that where they wrote collateral on the paper, they typed in family, for organization. For the judge, they left it blank. And down here, they put in the actual courthouse name. For the organization on the paper form, they put nephew. On the organization that they typed, they put collateral. On the far right, primary address, they put as 2650 South California. And on the typed form, they wrote 2600 South California, Chicago, Illinois, 60608. It is important when you're completing any address that you have the street number, the street name, the city, state, and zip code. And again, they must match. Here in this example for the collateral, they wrote the Chicago, Illinois. And although they did copy it down below, it did not meet the criteria of having a street number, street name, and a zip code with that. Here's another example of a paper copy where they selected information they wish to share with an individual. You can see what they've checked here. Now, this is the form that they actually checked every single box with the exception of other. So you have, they did not check assessment and diagnosis, but yet they checked it on the form they completed. And then a section there where, again, they completed it, insurance information. They checked the box that, yes, they can share that information. Demographic information was not checked, and they checked the box when they were filling it out to say they did. And then the whole bottom one, none of those were selected, but yet the discharge, the reports for probation, psychological evaluation, all that stuff was checked, including HIV, AIDS-related tests and services. So the client stated, I don't want to share this information, but on the form that staff person entered, they said, oh yes, basically you can share anything with any information. Now you can see if someone were to call and ask any of that information from the paper that the client did not check, and if you just looked at the verified form, it would indicate that you could basically say everything. And that is not a good thing. As I said, these were all real life examples of documents that were entered into the ECR, into a real client's file. Now the last one here, there's a, is there any interpretation as to what a paper form has with the handwriting and what someone actually types? This is one example where you can look at the address and the part that's sort of over the box. What is that? That information. It looks to me like 3rd floor, but what they actually typed in is they typed in the hashtag RD. So it doesn't even match. But if you were to look on the keyboard, you would see if you did a shift 3, it would give you that pound sign. So again, you have to be very careful. You are signing these forms, attesting to everything exactly matches. Okay, this ends this part 1 of this video. And what we're going to ask you to do now is to continue on to the next video. This one is done by Michelle Warburg, Chief Legal Counsel. She gets into a little more detail about how to fill some of these out. And it's called Completing the Task Intake Package. So watch that video. When you're done with that, then continue on and click the quiz link in that same section here.